So let's get to
I
work.
have a
We have a
question.
lot of work to do today. Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to go through it again. We're going through Journey to Inner Balance. The book is divided into two parts. Part one is the information. Part two is where we get the actual journaling takes place, and it's all about goal setting. It's all about accountability. It's all about self-awareness, commitment, and so on. Today, we're going to talk about commitment. All right, I'm going to share my screen so that we can study this together. Let me just figure out how to do that. Here we go. The screen so we could figure out how to. Okay, so these are the topics that effectively we'll go through as much as we can. Number one is we'll talk about what is commitment. Okay, what's the definition of it? Then we'll talk about why are people scared of commitment, which is such an important comment. And then we'll talk about some strategies to overcome. And we will also get involved for a little bit. And I suggest everyone buy this book. It's called Atomic Habits. It's written by James Clear, and it talks a lot about building strong habits. So it fits very well with the journaling that we're doing. It really, really fits very well with the journaling that we're doing. It teaches you and walks you through. It's a very popular book. There's over 15 million copies sold, and it really walks you through. It's called Atomic Habits because the atom is the smallest part of, essentially particle, and it teaches you how to break up habits into small little pieces, the smallest piece, and to succeed through that. So we're going to go through a little bit of that. I'm going to go through chapter 2. Every week we'll kind of go through a chapter, and I'll also bring in Torah perspective.
Do you
Okay?
have a recommendation to
You
read?
guys hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up to know that you hear me okay.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, you hear me okay? Just go like this so I can see. All right, amazing. Um, so what do we have going on over here? What is commitment? All right. Commitment refers to the dedication and willingness to invest time, effort, and resources towards a particular goal. Okay. So it really starts, and this is the one thing that I could never do. I could never get you to want to commit. There's no book that could do that. There's no system that could do that. It really has to start with your desire to want to commit, to have that dedication, like we're saying here, and the willingness to invest time. Because there are plenty of people that have bought the journal, that have bought the book. There are plenty of people that have come to class. There are plenty of people, that have said they commit, but they haven't gotten anywhere because they reach, a challenge and they're not used to it and they kind of bail out. So it really has to start from your determination to want to commit. Okay, you have to want it from in your inner heart. You have to want to become the great person that you're destined to be if you put your mind to it. And that's really what Hashem wants from us. So that's what we're saying here. It refers to dedication and willingness to invest time, effort, and resources towards a particular goal. The goal of the journal is to become the best person that you could be. Relationships or value over an extended period. As you know, I've chosen 90 days because 90 days is 3 months, because that's like a bite size. That's a bite size portion that everyone can essentially digest. I wasn't gonna do like, hey, a 1 week journal, a 1 month journal. It had to be real, but it had to be a little bit heavy, a little bit outside of your comfort zone, but it had to also be easy enough that you can hold your breath for 3 months out of the year. It's a steadfastness that persists despite challenges or obstacles. And that's what you really want to get your mindset into. And it's so important that we're talking about it. Because if you're journaling, right, and I kind of have to get this even a little bit better, but if you're journaling in the journal section, then a lot of the times, right, this is the journal section, you're journaling, you want to spend some time discovering for yourself, and this is an idea for you to kind of, what should I journal about? You want to spend some time journaling for yourself. Why do I want to journal? Why do I feel that I need to take myself more seriously? What am I gaining? What am I going to lose if I don't? What am I gaining if I will? And what am I going to lose if I don't? do I feel like I'm performing at a mediocre level? I told someone this week, who shall remain nameless, obviously, that in my opinion, and they're doing a lot, that they're performing at 40%. They're at 40% capacity, you know? And this is someone that I know and someone that I can really say, hey, you're just not performing at your capacity. So the question is, why do I need to journal? And that mindset, that journaling in this section, just starting off with, hey, why do I need to journal? What's in it for me? Where can I be? Where do I want to be? Will help the person get the mindset of dedication. And when you reach the challenges of when it becomes difficult and it starts becoming, ambiguous or boring or whatnot, it'll bring you back to that. So what are the types of commitment that we want to get to? First of all, there's personal commitment, dedication to self-improvement, health, or personal goals. The beauty is that we have the Torah to guide us. We are miles and miles ahead of all the discovery that's going on. We study and we could read all the information that's out there, but ultimately we always end up finding it from a Torah perspective. So the types of things you want to commit to is personal commitment. And we've spoken about this in the past, like, why is personal commitment so important? One of the reasons is because personal commitment means you're showing up for yourself. And that's a huge power. When you show up for yourself, when you are personally dedicated and you can count on yourself, that builds resilience. Because you know that even though there's a challenging time going on, you can get out of it. And your downward slope of challenge won't go that deep because your resilience and your mindset will catch you. That's why people with experience, right? What does experience help? Why should experience help my resilience? Because I've seen this before, I've done it before, I've gone through it before, I can do it again. So personal commitment, right? Dedication to the self, and so on. Relational commitment, dedication within personal relationships, such as friendships, romantic partnerships, or family ties, right? Those are commitments that are now taking a step out. You're dedicating to your friends. You're dedicating to a romantic partner, your spouse. You're dedicating to your family, and so on. And it's important that we started with personal commitment, because once you can personally show up for yourself, you can, in a healthy way, and this is kind of the key, show up in a relationship. Because there are people that are great when it comes to family or in a relationship, but they erase their sense of self because they haven't showed up for themselves. They don't have a healthy self-esteem. It's kind of like, I would categorize it as like a yes person, like a yes person kind of like doesn't show up for themselves, but they show up for others. So that type of situation is not the healthy way to step into a relationship perspective. So once again, in the journal, we have a space for, this is the second section of each week, which is relationship based, right? Who do I need to show up for in terms of a relationship? Who am I showing up for? And then the social commitment, professional commitment is one's career. Social commitment is your dedication to social causes, community service, or activism. And in that realm, I always try and educate my family and those that are close to me to understand that we all have our work, we all have our friends, we all have our habits, we all have things that we want to accomplish, but everyone should be involved in some type of social commitment. Everyone should be doing something for the Jewish people, for the world at large. And you'll never, you can never know your capability of what you could attain until you kind of get out there and do it. I was telling Rebecca, like, hey, why don't you, and just as a point, this just kind of came up, like, hey, we're doing the classes on the journal, why don't you spearhead the accountability partners? And that started becoming like a whole thing, and now people from all different types of cities are kind of reaching out, with that small little idea. That's commitment. All right. And that creates a big sense of bracha for the person because you're involved in positive, in positive energy. So those essentially are the points that we want to commit. Now, what's the importance of commitment? Achieves long-term goals. Commitment is essential for setting and reaching long-term objectives, right? Nothing worth your time is going to happen in an instant. There's not one thing that you can think of that's worth your time that will happen in an instant. And it's funny because society and social media and big companies and corporate companies are constantly trying to convince us and brainwash us that everything could happen faster, sooner, easier. There's a student of mine who just stepped into the corporate world that I was helping him build a schedule, and part of his schedule was shutting down his computer, shutting off his phone, and just sitting in the office with a pen and paper and thinking about what's going on at work. Because everything that we want to do, we want to be able to have a long-term resilience to commit. So in the platforms that we spoke about, committing to yourself, relationship commitment, I can't stress enough how terrified people are of relationship commitment. It's ridiculous. It's because it is just ridiculous. Professional commitment. Everyone's looking for the easy way out. I want to start that fund and make money, overnight. The social commitment. People get frustrated easily with helping others and so on. All right. So number one is you need commitment to achieve long-term goals. Number two is it builds trust and reliability. In relationships, commitment fosters trust and dependability. When you show up, even if you're not doing the best job that needs to be done, but you show up, that builds trust. And let's start from the inside and build out. Trust, the first place that builds trust is trust in yourself. When you're committed, when you're day after day, no matter what happens, are going through your goals, you start trusting yourself. You want to build self-esteem within yourself, start showing up for yourself on a constant basis on any one of the 4 platforms of the MSBR: mind, soul, body, relationships. You show up for yourself on a constant basis, you're accomplishing your goals on a constant basis, you start trusting yourself. And that will obviously spill over into a relationship. You're trustworthy. I can count on you. You've been there. You'll be there for me. You're someone that I would want to get involved with. And that will spill over to your children. Your children could be going through something. You might not be available, but they know they could trust you'll be there when it's necessary, when it's there, because you're able to commit, because you can commit to yourself. All right. So that's, the core, one of the cores of commitment is trust. And that's the relationship we also want to build with Hashem. We've been saying this forever. Like, why does God constantly push this narrative of trust? You have to trust me. You have to trust me. Don't work on Shabbat. Be honest in business. Jewish people coming out of Egypt. Trust. Bitachon. Trust. What's the big deal? I put on tefillin. Who cares if I trust you or not? I did what you wanted to do. I deposited the money in the bank. No, because trust equals relationship. Trust means relationship. All right. So commitment is key to that point. Next, enhance personal growth. Commitment to personal development leads to continuous improvement and self-awareness. Building blocks, one after the other. Promote stability. Commitment provides a sense of stability and purpose in various aspects of life. So those are the reasons why commitment is so important. All right. Now, we all kind of know this. This is not really like I'm sharing the notes so that you could see them and follow along with me. We all kind of know this. It's like I'm not really saying anything so novel about the importance of commitment, maybe broadening it a little bit. But the real part is, why are people so scared of commitment? Why is that such a challenge? All right. Why do people have this commitment phobia? And if you notice, I've done everything with the journal to make it possible for you to solve the issues that we'll talk about. All right. It's not on social media. It's not on Instagram. If you're here or you have the book, it's most probably because someone shared it with you and someone that you know. It's very relationship based. The only person you're holding accountable is yourself. The only one that can fail or succeed is yourself. It's really trying to build your own sense of muscle, of long-term, 3-month reliability, trust, getting to know yourself. And from there, building forward. All right. So why are people so scared of commitment? Fear of commitment is a common issue that can hinder personal and professional growth. Understanding the root causes can help in addressing and overcoming these fears. First of all, fear of failure. Okay, we've spoken about this in our classes before, right? Goody kids who have never failed before, or parents who are overly difficult and overly critical. Failure is such a big thing. You just rather stay safe. So you don't want to commit, because if you commit, you might fail. So you stay safe. So you stay safe with yourself too. You don't want to get to know yourself because you're scared of what you'll discover. What if I discover something in myself that's so dark, I won't be able to handle it and it'll crash? Yes, because again, you're going to avoid any risk taking, any self, delving into yourself and so on. You're going to avoid a relationship with yourself. And from that, just think of it, spilling over. You're going to avoid, people avoid relationships. They avoid the work they avoid in every platform, fear of failure. How do you avoid fear of failure? It is a work in progress. Self-esteem is the biggest, is one of the biggest tools. And obviously also putting things into perspective, like, okay, I take this risk and I fail. Okay, so now what? Is life over because of that? Like, I remember um there's somewhere specific that offered me a job that I wasn't looking for that position, but they said, listen, you could fill it up and you can really make an impact. And you tell me impact and making a difference and impacting Jewish kids and community, like that's my like lingo. That's what gets me to move. So I said, okay, I'll go for it. And I really had to put myself out there and so on and so forth. And it was advertised and community and so on and so forth. And I didn't end up getting the job. But I went into it knowing that, okay, if I fail, I did my part. But I wasn't scared to fail because it's not a reflection on the core of who I am. Fear of failure is a big, anti-commitment. You got to figure out where that comes from. Next, fear of losing independence. Worries that commitment will restrict personal freedom and autonomy. We live in a world where people can't commit. You ask someone, hey, next week on Wednesday, let's meet up. Oh, I'll tell you Wednesday morning. Why Wednesday morning? What are you doing that you can't commit? You should know your schedule by now. Are you so in desperate need of freedom and you can't even harness your own schedule that you can't lose independence? So commitment, it really hinders growth because you want to stay free. Yes, everyone wants freedom. Punishment, when you want to punish someone, you put them in jail. Right? Society has come to terms with the fact and understands that limiting someone's independence is punishment. Fine, but that's in an extreme case. You have to have the balance between independence and commitment. You have to find that middle road. You can't get anywhere if you only always want to be independent. You don't want to commit to a minyan, to a learning, to a structure, to an accountability partner, to a class, to work. No one's going to get anywhere. But you don't want to close yourself up. So it's a balance. You're looking for a balance, but identify, is that my fear of commitment? Past experiences, negative experiences with previous commitments, such as failed relationships or unsuccessful projects. You look at the back, you look at the past, and you're saying, wow, I really failed. And look at me, I'm a disaster. I'm never going to commit to anything again. And you can kind of bring that out into whatever world you want to go into. Uncertainty about the future, anxiety about unforeseen changes, or the inability to predict outcomes. You don't want to commit because you don't know where the future is going. And that's where we dig deep into our trust, our emunah bitachon. We do what's responsible at best as we can, and then Hashem, we let Hashem lead the way with it. The future is always in his hands. Low self-esteem is another root for lack of commitment. You believe that you're not worthy or capable of maintaining commitments. Where might that come from? Perfectionism is another big one. This is a really big one. People have a really hard time with it. Unless it's perfect, they're not going to do it. Now, for a perfectionist, they have to see not only the goal, which is 15 steps away, they have to see every step and every sub-step. And that's impossible. Like, you don't know which way things are going to turn and twist. So they never get the ball rolling because their standards of perfectionism are so high. And their brain just gets overloaded and cluttered, and they don't accomplish what it is that's important to them. Okay? Okay. And that's kind of a key point. The idea of perfectionism. You might be structured, but if you can't see the end goal and you don't know exactly, you won't start it. Sometimes you just have to learn on the job. It's okay. It depends what you're trying to learn. Fear of intimacy in relationships, commitment can signify emotional vulnerability and closeness, which some may fear. If you're consistent, if you're there all the time, you're obviously getting close to a person. That fear of intimacy is, a challenge within itself. All right, so I'm just to recap a little bit. What we're talking today about another tool for the journal, which you need to succeed. And the thing that you would need for that is obviously commitment. Okay. Because as I was saying, I can write a journal and put it together, right? And it's got all the recipe you need to succeed. But if you don't commit, then you won't get anywhere. So the question is, how do you build that up? And that's kind of like what we were talking about. That was kind of the idea of like, why do I want to commit? And I'm gonna give you a tool from this book, Atomic Habits, that you're really gonna enjoy. Why do I want to commit? What am I gaining from it? What am I losing if I don't? If you're not a committed type of person, what does your life look like? If I am a committed type of person, what does my life look like? That's a great topic to journal, because remember, the journal is not necessarily the place to pour all your heart out. The journal is a place for you to be able to get to know yourself so that you can keep in the momentum of 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 commitment and goals. Okay. Yes, there's just some comments written here about diet slightly restricts personal freedom, but it leads to goals, right? Okay, amazing. Let's go on. So now, what can we do? I guess that's kind of the conversation. What can we do in order to be able to be better committed people? All right. And I want to start off with the following question. If you take people that people that are successful and want to succeed, right? Everyone has the same goals. We use business, for example. Everyone wants to make a ton of money. So it's not the goals that are different. Think about that. Everyone has the goal of finishing, succeeding in work, in marriage, in business, in personal life, and whatever it might be. Everyone has this goal that they would want to be A, B, and C, right? I want to open a Fortune 500 company. Everyone wants to do that. Okay. So the goals are not different. What's the difference? The difference between successful people and non-successful people is the process. Some people don't have a process and therefore are kind of just walking in the dark, in the gray zone. And some people have figured out a process. Since they've figured out a process, that's what makes them different. It leads them to the goal. So understanding this point about MSBR, and that's where it comes in again and helps, is it's not just about setting goals. Like, you can go to CVS and buy a journal and write your goals. That's great, but you'll still be in the same place next year this time. Why? Because it's not the goals necessarily that differentiate successful people from not successful people. Okay? It's the process that people have that differentiates them. All right. And that's what I want to talk about today. So he talks about in the book Atomic Habits, and I'll again share the screen. I love technology today. I know for you guys it's not technology because this is just the way you kind of grew up, but for me it's still technology. Do you see the screen? Could you nod your head if you see it? No, not yet. Okay, I'll get it in there. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, here it is. Shared screen. Okay. Here we go. For you, this is just like the way that you grew up, but for me, this is called technology. All right. So this is chapter 2 of Atomic Habits. And I'm gonna just focus in on a little bit. How your habits shape your identity. Why is it so easy to repeat bad habits and so hard to form good ones? All right, we're trapped in bad habits, kind of cyclical way, in a cycle way, and so hard to form good ones. Few things can have a more powerful impact on your life than improving your daily habits. All right, your daily habits are the building block of your month, of your year, of your life. And yet it is likely that this time next year, and how apropos, and that's why I'm choosing to learn this before Rosh Hashanah, how apropos, right, that next time this year you'll be doing the same thing rather than something better. Most people will be doing the same exact thing this time next year. They'll just be a year older. And, they'll kind of have to like wait for life to teach them, so to speak. It often feels difficult to keep good habits going for more than a few days, even with sincere effort and occasional bursts of motivation. Habits like exercise, meditation, journaling, and cooking are reasonable for a day or two, and then they become a hassle. This is important. Like, there's another book that we'll get into. It's called Willpower Doesn't Work. You guys should, if you're part of this group, look, let's get to work. Willpower Doesn't Work. It's a book. I, how do I put this? Like, high motivation is not the key to success. You know what I mean? Like, Hashem revealed himself to the world once because he needed to, and that's it. He doesn't do miracles all the time because that's not what our relationship with Hashem is, with Judaism, with ourselves. We're not looking for that burst. And that's like a thing, I'm looking for that burst of motivation. No, what we want is commitment, stability, long-term vision. That doesn't come through, I won't say you're not motivated, you are motivated, but it doesn't come through high motivation. It comes through consistency, resilience. Those are the words that come to mind. All right. That's kind of the idea behind it. However, once your habits are established, they seem to stick around forever, especially the unwanted ones. Despite our best intentions, unhealthy habits like eating junk food, watching too much television, procrastinating, and smoking can feel impossible to break. So he's gonna go into a deep idea of how to create deep consistency, motivation, and habits. Ready? Here we go. Changing our habits is challenging for 2 reasons. One, we try to change the wrong thing. We try and change, but we're changing the wrong thing. We try and change our habits in the wrong way. In this chapter, I'll address the first point. In the chapter that follows, I'll answer the second. So the first point is we try to change the wrong thing. Our first mistake is that we try to change the wrong thing. To understand what I mean, consider that there are 3 levels at which change can occur. You can imagine them like the layers of an onion. The first layer, and you see the circle here, is changing your outcome. This level is concerned with changing your results, losing weight. So losing weight is just kind of an easy one to pick on. Publishing a book, winning a championship. Most of the goals you are associated with this level of change. So for example, I want to fit into my summer clothes. That's an outcome. I want to fit into it's just easy, so I'll just pick on it. I want to fit into my summer clothes. It's an outcome that I want, all right? The second layer is changing your process. This level is concerned with changing your habits and systems, implementing a new routine at the gym, decluttering your desk for better workflow, developing a meditation practice. Most of the habits you build are associated with this level. So for example, now I want to fit into my summer clothes, and therefore I need to eat more salad and less carbs and sweets. That's the process, okay? I want to have better work. I want to make more money. That's the outcome. The process is I need to go to the office more. Stop watching social media. Think, broader. The outcome is I want to make more. The outcome is I want to make more money. The process is I need to be in the office more. Okay. I need to switch jobs, leave this job, go to a different one, be more productive. That's the process. But there's a much deeper level, which is unbelievable. The third and deepest level is changing your identity. Here we go. This level is concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgment about yourself and others. Most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases you hold are associated with this level. The deepest level of creating habits is what? Changing your identity, changing how you see yourself. See, we come from a culture where, like, if at first you don't succeed, then just keep, try it again, try it again, try it again. This, like, don't look for the door, into the other room or how to get out. Just run through the wall. If you're not succeeding, then keep running and you head into the wall, kick the wall, break the wall, keep going. No, maybe there's a smarter way to be an accomplished person. I'm not saying we don't need resilience, but maybe there's a smarter way than just keep trying. When you just keep trying at something and you are failing at it, maybe there's a deeper way towards success to program yourself. You want that outcome. Okay? You want that fit into the summer clothes. You want that success at work. You want whatever. I'm just picking on simple things, right? But and you're thinking of the process. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna eat more salad. I'm going to be at the office more hours. But there's a much deeper level, which is what? Changing your identity, changing the way you look at yourself. You're now creating a machine of success, and I'll explain to you what you mean with the next few lines. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads us to outcome-based habits. The alternative is to build identity-based habits. With this approach, we start by focusing on who we wish to become. And now MSBR comes in. The journaling for this week, guys. Get into who you want to become. Who do I want to be? Redefine your identity. And he's going to give a great example here. Imagine two people resisting a cigarette. All right. When offered a smoke, the first person says, "No, thanks. I'm trying to quit." What is kind of in that statement? "No, thanks. I'm trying to quit." So it basically says, I'm a smoker and I'm trying to quit. I'm struggling with it. And therefore, I'm not going to smoke. Okay. But what if he says something even better, which is not, "I'm trying to quit," right? It sounds like a reasonable response, but this person still believes they're a smoker who is trying to be something else. They're hoping their behavior will change while carrying around the same beliefs. I get offered a cigarette. Sorry, I'm trying to quit. I'm trying to quit. Eventually, like, we want the car to kind of jumpstart. The second person declines by saying, "No, thanks. I'm not a smoker. Here's a cigarette. No, thanks. I'm not a smoker." But I don't smoke anymore. What? It's a small difference, but this statement signals a shift in identity. Smoking was part of their former life, not their current one. They no longer identify as someone who smokes, right? Alcohol, drugs, blah, blah, whatever you want to eradicate, it's not about the struggle. It's about the identity. It's not about like, I have to show up to the gym or minyan or whatever at 7 o'clock. It's, I'm the type of person who wakes up at 5:30. That's just who I am. How am I going to get there? I have to buy an alarm clock. I have to go to sleep earlier. So I identify myself as a type of I'm an early morning person. I've reprogrammed. How do I get there? I need to go to sleep early. And I need to buy an alarm clock. I need to remove my phone from my bed. And that's the process. What's the outcome? Now I will maximize my time. I will show up to the gym. I will show up to work. I'll accomplish more. All those things I wanted to do in life will happen because I'm an early riser type of person. Someone asks you, "Are you a morning person?" I sure am. I sure am a morning person. You better believe it. You get it? Obviously, that what we're trying to build here with the journaling is reprogramming our mindset, reprogramming our identity. Your identity can be learned and your identity can be unlearned. You can learn your identity, you can unlearn your identity. You can't learn and unlearn your height. That's a fact. But you can learn and unlearn who you are. I'm an early riser. Okay, what is that? What do I need to get? What do I need to get there? I need this set up and that set up and this set up. Why do I want to do that? Outcome, because that will make me more productive and I'll be able to attain my goals. I'm a writer. Okay, I'm a writer. What do writers do? They write books. Instead of saying, "Hey, I want to write this book and blah blah blah." No, I'm a writer. What does a writer do? You start from the identity, and that's what I want us to work on journaling this week. I want us to work on the whole concept of, thinking about who you want to be. So apropos before Rosh Hashanah. Who do you want to be with your relationship with Hashem? Who are you to yourself and Hashem? Who are you? I don't know. You tell me. Journal about it in your mind. That's a mind. I am the type of person that sees life beautifully and loves Hashem and loves doing mitzvot out of joy. That's my mindset. My soul. I will now say brachot, pray, not because I have to, because I want to. Blah, blah, blah. So that's the core, okay? Identity, journal about your identity, journal about the process, how to get there, and then journal about where will it take me. And if you have a hard time with that, you could start with the opposite, like, okay, I want to accomplish these things in life. What type of person accomplishes these things in life? Well, let's see. I want to start Tesla. Okay, great. What type of person starts Tesla? Is it a person who's able to wake up in the morning, or is it a person who doesn't? Well, you tell me. Do you get what does that make sense? You understand? Like, what do you want to accomplish? I want to play at this level. I want to play not at 40%, as I was telling you that I told the student. I want you to play at 85%. What does an 85% accomplishment and efficiency and successful person look like to you? That's my identity. My identity is I'm a person who's a high achiever playing at a high level. Okay, what is in that person's life? The process. Well, this is how they sleep, this is how they eat, these are their friends. They only have positive people in their life. They don't allow negativity. They read, they study, blah, blah. What's the outcome? The outcome is I will get my achieved goal. Okay. Now, I was giving this some thought, and I was thinking about, where do we find this in the Torah? Where do we find this idea of your identity makes such a difference? And I discovered it in Yetziat Mitzrayim. The Jewish people were taken out of Egypt. And Hashem took us out of Egypt, did the 10 Makot, split the sea, gave us the Torah, and when it came to it, we couldn't take it. Jewish people said, "What did you do, Moshe Rabbeinu? You brought us out here to be killed in the desert. We should have stayed in Egypt as slaves." Literally, they said, the pasuk says, we should have stayed in Egypt as slaves. We're worse off here. We should have never left. We never look at where we are because of you, because of this. What are you talking about? You just, like, God did all these miracles. He's telling you to go into the promised land that he promised Avraham Avinu like hundreds of years ago. And you're not taking that step in. And none of them made it into the land. The first generation that came immediately out of Egypt, did not make it in, except for the Levim and the women. Majority of the people there didn't make it in. Why? Because, and this is what I want you to remember, I want us to remember, you can take the Jew out of Egypt, but you can't take Egypt out of the Jew. Like, they were taken out of Egypt physically, but they still had the slave mentality. It's the next generation that saw themselves as free that was able to go into the land of Israel, because their identity was, we're not slaves anymore. We might come from a slave heritage or people that were enslaved, but we're not slaves anymore. We're not slaves anymore. Identity. Where are you starting from? outcome, process, identity, identity, process, outcome. See yourself, identify yourself as the person you want to become, right? We spoke in this class about commitment. Why commitment is important. I can't get you to commit. I can write a book. I can't get you to commit. I can't do more than that. You can set it up as, as Rebecca's creating the partners and so on and so forth. And we can create the system, but you have to start with, why is this in my benefit? Why is the journal, the MSBR journal, in my benefit? Part 1. Part 2, commitment, long-term. What are the benefits? What are the fears of it? Part 3, we spoke about identity. See yourself, identify yourself as the person that you want to be. Okay, we'll stop here. God willing, we'll have class again next week, and I'll be happy to take any questions. There will be a recording coming out soon. So thank you once again for joining. Subscribe to the link below, hit the like button, follow, blah, blah, blah. Okay, guys, Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov, Rabbi.
Thank you so much.